Welcome to another episode. I am so glad to have you with us here on the podcast or the YouTube channel, however you're listening to us today. Excited to have you with me. Let's kick off the month of April. Are you ready to go? It is spring. It is time. You're going to see I'm wearing short sleeves, right? It is time to definitely be wearing short sleeves here in Charleston. I am so excited to kick off this month with you and start something and really move through something together. That's what we do every single month when we're together here, again, either on the podcast or on the YouTube channel. And so this topic, this mini series that we're going to go through the entire month of April is something that you're a little familiar with. If you're a subscriber to our program and you listened to the mini series last month, we talked about creating your executive brand, right? And that is fundamentally what we do here at Legend Leaders. Well, if you recall, there was one week that we spent talking about common pitfalls that happen as we're creating our executive brand. And I will tell you that I got lots of feedback about that one episode. And I got a lot of questions. And so because of that, because I'm listening to you and I'm listening to your feedback and I'm understanding your questions, we're going to spend the entire month of April focused on the common pitfalls of a new exec. So that's the topic for this month. Are you ready to dive into it? I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time introducing the topic because we've already done that. We did that last month. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and dive into it. I'm going to kick off this very first episode and I'm going to go ahead and give you a common pitfall. How about that? I normally don't do that. I normally try to get your mind right, but I think your mind is already right. Okay? Your mind is ready to receive common pitfalls. So let's go ahead and dive into common pitfalls that happen as a new executive. What are some things that we step into? What are some things that, we're marching along and our eyes are on the prize and then all of a sudden we just fall into this deep hole and we're like, oh, how'd I get here? What happened? The first common pitfall is self-blame. I talk about this constantly. Now, before I go any further, you already know this because you can look at a calendar and you're highly intelligent, right? There are 4 Wednesdays in the month of April, which means there are 4 pitfalls that I'm going to cover. And they are the most common pitfalls, okay? I've covered some last month. I'm going to really dive into each one of these this month. And so self-blame, I'm kicking off today with self-blame because as women, man, that is one that eats us alive. Now, you've probably already heard me talk about the 4 Ps, right? The 4 Ps of executive success. That's what we call them here at Legend Leaders. It's the progressive pathway that we follow as we go through our careers, right? Let me give you a highlight really quickly, and there's some previous episodes if you want to go check out this information in even more detail, right? I've spent months talking about the 4 Ps, but let me go high level. The 4 Ps, if this is the first time you've heard them: promotion, preparation, performance, permission, okay? That's the common pathway that we follow as women in our careers. And so what happens is we go from promotion, right? It takes us on average 10 years to get to that executive seat as a woman. And so as we go through our promotions, there are incremental little shifts in what we have to know and how we have to lead, right? But fundamentally in those 10 years, the bulk of what we're doing is the same. It's minute shifts. It's a little bit of growth. But when we go from a manager or a director into an executive level, right? Senior director, VP, right? Depending upon your organization. It's a huge shift, right? It's this chasm and this big leap that you have to make in your leadership style, in your brand, all of these things that we constantly talk about, right? You know this. Well, what happens is we don't see the chasm. Our eyes are on the future, right? We see where we're going. We're looking to where we want to be, which is that executive seat. And because we see it up there, we don't see the pitfall of self-blame. And what is that pitfall? The pitfall is we don't see the next step in the 4 Ps. We don't see the preparation step. So we haven't effectively prepared to exec. It's so common. It is one of the most common pitfalls that happen, especially to women. It happens to all of us, but especially women. And so then what happens? Well, we're like, oh my gosh, I haven't prepared. I'm in over my head. Maybe this isn't for me. How could I have been so stupid to have missed this, right? We blame ourselves. We may maybe use even more choice words than how could I have been so stupid? But we blame ourselves. I should have seen this. I should have known. If I miss this, maybe I'm not meant to be here. We have all of these crying in the shower moments, right? That private space where we go to cry because we can't let anybody else see that we're upset with ourselves, that we're disappointed in ourselves, that we may have made a huge mistake. We're feeling like we've tanked our careers. We've worked for these 10 plus years, and now it's all for nothing because we got where we thought we wanted to be, and maybe we're not meant to be there because we missed seeing that there's a phase of preparation that it takes to be an effective executive. That's all this self-blame and more. It all churns up inside of us, and it's hard to deal with, and it's consuming. And so we move through this process of blame and we hide and we don't want to tell our families and we're trying to figure it out. And what we have to realize is that maybe we missed the step of preparation, but just because we missed it first doesn't mean that we can never prepare, okay? Now, if we're churning along and we're trying to work extra hours and we're trying to do all these other pitfalls that we're going to talk about, and we never grow through it, we never push past the self-blame, and we start taking appropriate action, then yes, that will tank our career. If we stay in the pitfall, if we stay in the place of self-blame, then we won't be able to move forward and have the career that we want to have, okay? Because for most women, we think, if I missed it here, I'm going to miss something else. If I miss the preparation phase, I'm not cut out for this. It's like a one and done. And so remember this, just because you didn't prepare before you stepped into it doesn't mean that you cannot prepare now. You absolutely can. It's not too late. As long as you're still in the role and you have a drive to create your executive brand and take yourself to the next level and learn those executive leadership skills, you can do it. Okay? It's possible. So let's eliminate the blame. A lot of us miss it. It's okay. We cannot stay in the place of self-blame because it's negative momentum. It takes our momentum, it takes our energy down, and we can't stay in that space. We've got to climb. We've got to solve. We've got to perform. We've got to learn. We've got to do all of the things that help us succeed in the role. Self-blame is not where we can stay if we're going to succeed. Okay, so what I want you to take away from all of this is a couple of things. The first thing is this. If you're blaming yourself, stop. You're not the only one that's missed it. If I'm sitting here right now talking to you about self-blame, recognize that I work with a large number of women. Okay? And I see this regularly. So you're not the only one. It's not just happening to you. You didn't miss something. Your career is not over. Recognize that it's happened. Now let's move from recognition into solution phase, right? Let's go solve this. Focus on creating your high-performance executive brand. Go do that. You are meant to be in the role. You're not meant to stay in the pitfall of self-blame. I have some great questions for you to answer, some great questions for you to think through, ask yourself to help you step out of self-blame or even keep yourself out of self-blame in the workbook, right? There's always a workbook that I put out every month with a topic that we're focused on. Please get the workbook. It's free. Grab it. You should get it. It's worth it. So get the workbook, download it, and then work through the process. And if you're sitting here right now and you're saying, I am in a place of self-blame, Katrina, I need help. You brought it to my attention. I see myself sitting in this space. Get me out of it. Help me. Then what I want you to do, there'll be a link here in the post, right, associated with this episode. Hit the link, schedule a call with my team. It's absolutely free. Let us help you. Let us help you acknowledge where you are in your growth process, celebrate you for the fact that you are where you are, and give you some tips and tricks and pointers on how to move yourself forward, okay? If you want help, it's here, through the workbook, through the call, all of the above. But either way, get out of the pitfall of self-blame. Get out of it. It is not where you need to be. As always, go and be legendary.